Yes, it's the Monday edition of a Sports Splash on ABS TV. Of course, our sincere apologies for being behind schedule on the show this morning. Compete favorably and fairly, President Tinubu tells athletes at the ongoing National Sports Festival in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State. And let's also tell you that Flying Eagles edge Egypt on penalties to win at the bronze medals at the African Under-20 Championship. Oklahoma City Thunder trash Denver Nuggets to reach NBA Conference Finals. We also have news on motorsports, Formula One, tennis, athletics, and then, of course, I will have some football news on the sports show. It is Sports Splash, the Monday edition, and I am Ike Nwokede. Now, let's begin with our first story. Our first story is from the second tier of Nigerian club football, fondly known as the most important league in the land. It is the Nigerian National League. Let's tell you that Gateway FC and Resurgent, a second half display, saw the Ogun State-based team are taking a point from the Oka City Stadium, Anambra State, in one of the match day 18 fixtures of the ongoing Nigerian National League, the NNL. The Solution Boys are under the watch of coach Gabriel Ezdema. Made just one change to the starting 11 from their last game against Takun Khalifa FC with Christian Ahamefula coming in for Charles Ewe. The Solution Boys deservedly took the lead with the first goal, which came through Chinonso Romanos in the 25th minute of the game, who called his effort from a free kick into the net, leaving Gateway's shot stopper Balogun Olalekan with no chance in the game. The Anambra government owned the club doubled their lead on the dot of and the 45th minute marker through Chukwuemeka Oyeke with a simple finish assisted by Valentine Ugu. The game will change its complexion as 14 minutes after the restart, Babatunde Taofika pulled one back to give his side a lifeline. Samuel Christian eventually scored in the 72nd minute to restore parity to take the game to a heavy end. There was an opportunity for the Solution Boys to still take the maximum points in added time through Valentine Ugu's free kick, which came off the frame of the post with well-positioned Chukwuemeka Oyeke's effort, somehow missing the target and coming off the crossbar from the rebound as the visitors are held on to share the spoils. And next up for Solution FC is a trip to Lagos State to play First Bank FC on Friday, the 23rd of May 2025 at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Onikan, Lagos State. And I tell you, the chances of Solution FC qualifying for the playoff for the season is becoming bleak, especially with this result against Gateway United FC. Was a match I played yesterday at the Oka City Stadium. Away from that, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, yesterday declared the 22nd National Sports Festival, otherwise known as the Gateway Games Ogun 2024, open and pomp and ceremony at the newly renovated MKO Abiola Sports Arena in Abeokuta, the capital of Ogun State, represented by the Vice President Kashim Shettima. President Tinubu underlined the ethos and the spirit behind the National Sports Festival, adding that sports has become a rallying point and a unifying factor for Nigerians of all cadre. He said National Sports Festival, the Gateway Games Ogun 2024, is not only about competition but about an opportunity to develop the country's sports economy, as he urged the athletes to compete fairly. In his declaration of the festival open, the Vice President Shettima said, matter of factly, may the best team wins and may Nigeria continue to soar. The colorful opening ceremony of the Gateway Games at Ogun 2024 was witnessed by the Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, several state governors including Professor Charles Chukwumasoludo of Anambra State, Dr. Lucky Ayedatiwa of Ondo State, Senator Ademola Adeleke of Osun State, Dr. Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto, Alhaji Usman Ododo of Kogi, as well as some high-ranking Federal Executive Council members, including the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Mr. Oluwa Edon, and as well as the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, talking about the Chairman of the Sports, of course, Sports Commission, National Sports Commission, the person of Chief Sunday Dare, and a host of other VIPs. In his welcome address, the Chief Host and Ogun State Governor Prince Adapo Abiodun said that the Gateway Games at Okun 2024 would leave a lasting legacy and would, in years to come, be a reference point because judging by the opening ceremony, we are going to host the best national sports festival in history. He urged all athletes to compete with honor and dignity, and that they should imbibe the spirit of Olympics, saying the state has put in place a robust security so that visitors and participants will enjoy the game under a safe and conducive environment. Both the chairman of the National Sports Commission, Malam Shehu Diko, and the Director General of the NSC, Honorable Bukolo Olapade, in their remarks, praised President Tinubu for his ingenuity towards the revitalization of the country's sports economy, saying that this National Sports Festival will break new grounds, and more so with the inclusion of the novel invited junior athletes IJA at the 38 competing states at the event, which is the National Sports Festival. Away from that, let's tell you that for the fourth time in the history of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, Nigeria finished in top place as penalty shootout proved another sure route to glory. On Sunday night, with host Egypt as victims at the 30th June Stadium in Cairo. But in the tournament final match, South Africa won their maiden Under-20 AFCON title with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Morocco at the same venue. As per the Flying Eagles' triumph from the shootout against the cup holder Senegal in the quarterfinals in Ismaili, and the 7-time champions Nigeria a ticket to this year's FIFA Under-20 World Cup finals in Chile, and it came handy after a regulation time ended with a goal each way in the classification encounter, with the Flying Eagles moving forward to win on penalties. The Flying Eagles also won the bronze medals when Nigeria hosted at the finals in 1995 and in 2009 in Rwanda, and then in 2013 in Algeria. And now to the continent, let's tell you that FIFA has lifted the suspension of Congo-Brazzaville from international football after several conditions that were met. The sanction was imposed in February because of the third-party interference in the affairs of the country's football association, FECOFOOT. At the time, FIFA said a particularly serious situation of undue influence constituted a clear violation of FECOFOOT's obligations under the World Governing Body Statute. It led to the postponement of Congo's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Tanzania and Zambia, which were scheduled to be held in March. The conditions to lift the suspension included the return of full control of FECOFOOT's headquarters and the association's other facilities to FECOFOOT Executive Committee. It is yet to be announced if the two suspended World Cup qualifiers will be rearranged, and the final 4 games of the group campaign are scheduled to take place in September and October, with the African playoffs then due to be played in the month of November. And for fans in Congo-Brazzaville, it feels good to see their country national team beat at the senior level, Under-23, Under-20, Under-17, and other age categories getting ready to feature in CAF organized competitions and equally FIFA organized competitions. And winding up from the continent, 3 members of Liverpool's title-winning squad have been nominated for the Premier League Player of the Season award. We can tell you Captain Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, and Ryan Gravenberch lead the 8th player shortlist after helping the Reds to the 20th league title. Defender Van Dijk has played every game for Liverpool this season, helping them record 14 clean sheets, while midfielder Gravenberch has missed only one match. Forward Salah has registered a league-high 46 goal contributions, including 28 goals, and Nottingham Forest are the only other club with more than one nominee. Midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White is included alongside a striker Chris Wood, who is enjoying his most prolific Premier League campaign with 20 goals in 34 matches. Also nominated Newcastle striker Alexander Isak, who is second in the scoring chart with 23 goals, and Brentford forward Brian Mbuemo, who has 18 goals and 7 assists, and the 3 highest goal contributions tally in the league. Arsenal midfielder Declan Rice completes the list, while Manchester City forward Phil Foden won last year's award it was. And away from that, now time for us to check out what's happening in motorsport. Formula One, to be precise, and Red Bull's Max Verstappen took a dominant victory in the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, founded on an audacious overtaking and move on the first lap at the 4-time champion passed pole-sitter Oscar Piastri's McLaren around the outside off at the first chicane after the start and control the race. From there, a later safety car closed the field up and put the McLaren's off Piastri and Lando Norris on Verstappen's tail, but a consummate restart from Verstappen allowed him to break free, while Norris, on much fresher tires than Piastri, fought for 3 laps before finally passing the Australian to take second in the race. And the result, Verstappen's second win of the season, reduces Piastri's championship lead over Norris to 13 points from 16, and put the Dutchman 9 behind the Briton. Lewis Hamilton benefited from an offset strategy, starting on the hard tire and 2 safety cars to fight up from 12th on the grid to finish the 4th for Ferrari, passing his teammate Charles Leclerc in the hectic closing laps, thanks to much fresher tires in that one. And then Verstappen is back to form right now, winning that one, and let's see if he can sustain the momentum until the end of the season in the Formula One. And away from Formula One, let's talk about what's happening in the world of athletics. In athletics, Ethiopians Solomon Brega and Medina Issa won the men's and women's 10-kilometer races at the Great Manchester Run. Berega, who was Olympic champion in the distance on the track at Tokyo 2020, won Sunday's men's race in 27 minutes and 48 seconds. And Uruguay's Santiago Castrofe finished 3 seconds behind, while last year's champion in Manchester, Vincent Ngeti Kipkemoy of Kenya, was third with a time of 27 minutes and 58 seconds. There were 2 British finishers in the top 10, with England's Alfie Mantruoff 5th and Welshman Dewi Griffith in 8th. Olympic 800 champions Kelly Hodgkinson and Dame Kelly Holmes were in attendance to start the men's 10 kilometers and the half marathons. And in the women's 10 kilometers, there was a comfortable win for 20-year-old Issa in a time of 30 minutes and 42 seconds. American Emily Sisson was the second in a time of 31 minutes and 11 seconds, with Issa's fellow Ethiopian Gotitom Gebrselassie in third, and British athlete Ami Eloise Niali and Verity Okenden finished 7th and 9th respectively in the race. In the half marathon, which has been part of the event since 2017, local athlete Josh Birmingham won comfortably in 1 hour 6 minutes and 25 seconds, while Welshman Joshua Griffiths in second, and England's Simon Crawford in third. Australian Melissa Duncan won the women's race in 1 hour 16 minutes and 27 seconds, with British athlete Bethan Lowy and Edin O'Day completing the podium. In the elite wheelchair races, which are also 10-kilometer race, 6-time Paralympic gold medalist David Weir was the men's champions, with Jade Hall the women's winner. More than 35,000 runners took part in the event overall. It was a Greater Manchester Run, it was, and then the Ethiopians did the needful in that one in the men and the women category. And moving away from now, let's check out what's happening in the world of tennis. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz ended a world number one Yannick Sinner's 26-match winning streak with a 7-6, 6-1 win in the Italian Open. Sinner, playing in his first tournament since the 3-month doping ban, was hoping to become the first Italian men's singles winner at the tournament since Adriano Panatta in 1976. But after edging a tense tie-break, a four-time Grand Slam champion Alcaraz was a class both in the second set, and Sinner had 2 set points in the first set, but hit a backhand return wide to let reigning French Open champion Alcaraz off the hook. And the 22-year-old Spaniard took full advantage with some masterful play in the second set, sealing the title with a cross-court volley at the net. And Sinner's winning run stretches back to October when Alcaraz beat him in the China Open final. Lastly, in the world of tennis, Jasmine Paolini produced a scintillating display as she blew away Coco Gauff in straight set to end a 40-year wait for a home winner of the women's singles at the Italian Open, and rode on by a partisan crowd at the Foro Italic in Rome, including Italian President Sergio Mattarella. Paolini triumphed 6-4, 6-2 against Gauff of the United States. Paolini, who was a surprise finalist after the French Open and Wimbledon last year, wrapped up a victory on the clay in 1 hour and 29 minutes. And the 29-year-old was the first Italian woman to win the tournament since Raffaella Reggi in 1985, and only the 4th overall since its inception, and that was in 1930. And lastly, let's tell you that in the basketball, Oklahoma City Thunders at the OKC crushed Denver Nuggets by 125-93 in a decisive game of their playoff semifinals to book a showdown with Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference finals. And Nuggets wins on Thursday night took the series to a 7th game, but Denver were swept away in the 7th meeting. And MVP candidate Shia Gilgeous-Alexander shown for the Thunder, scoring 35 points as the West top seeds reached the conference finals for the first time since 2016. And Denver have played more games, sevens, over the last 7 years than any team, but are now 4-3 in decisive matches after the loss against OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And finally, in the world of football, Mikel Arteta says that he is undersatisfied and upset that Arsenal are finishing another season without a trophy, and the Gunners manager delivered a powerful and emotional speech as he addressed the fans at the Emirates Stadium after Sunday's 1-0 win over Newcastle United, Arsenal's final home match of the season. The result guarantees Arsenal a place in next season's Champions League, but it is now 5 years since the Gunners last won a major trophy, the FA Cup, in 2020. They were comfortably beaten to the Premier League title by Liverpool, were knocked out of the Champions League and Carabao Cup in the semi-finals, and went out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round. Arteta said he is ready to give his life to deliver a trophy for us now. And then we'll be watching out for that. Arteta, on that note, talking about next season, preparing well, and adding up to the squad he has had. Of course, ensuring that he strengthened the squad, especially in the attack and some areas in the midfield, as they look forward to another season, the 2025-2026 season. That's the size of the show this morning. Thank you very much for being part of the abridged version of our Sports Splash, the Monday edition. And the show continues for the rest of this week at this time. Do join us again. I am Ike Mokede. Have a lovely week, and remember to keep sporting and be fit. Bye-bye now.
In my mother's tongue, we call music Sule. It means music. Sule means music.
Well, I'm from Ondo State. We call it Oin.
All right, I'm from Benue, and I was brought up at the north. We call music Kidi.
My mother's tongue is Igbo. My mother's from Ibeme in Mbano local government area of Imo State. In that place, we call music Egu.
My mother is from Edo State, and in my place,